There are many skills you can give your kids to help them develop emotional regulation. There are negative emotions and there are positive emotions. That's the first way you can split them up. And negative emotions came first. Negative emotions were probably much more important to us. They kept us alive when we were Neanderthals. Positive emotions bring us together. They make us want to be together, to create communities. But negative emotions have a greater genetic loading. Positive emotions have a 40% genetic loading. We impact over half of our positive emotions. Our ability to change our positive emotions is greater than to change our negative emotions. The way we define bored is quiet anger. And when you look at bored on this chart, you see why. It's a subdued version of anger. When kids are bored, they're frustrated about something. So understanding emotions, there are reactions to the environment. They're what we value. They're how we sense what's good and what we should be afraid of. Understanding emotions can tell us a lot about how to deal with them. How do you spend time with your child being calm? What are your calm activities with your child? Kids are naturally drawn to stimulation. That's what they want to learn things, try things, do new things, because it increases their dopamine. Who here has heard that if you're happy a lot of the time, it boosts your immune system? People have heard this? If you're happy, it's good for you. It turns out you're entirely correct. There's something about calm and tranquil, which is particularly healthy for us. And in fact, when they've studied well-being, having a lot of positive emotion is amazing for well-being, not surprisingly, and for success in life. But it's the people who have a lot of calm and tranquil seem to have more well-being. They seem to flourish even more. So we're going to think a lot about the value of calm and tranquil. Let's talk about where this is all coming from. Okay? We brought up temperament last time. Easy, flexible, active, feisty, warm, cautious. And they can be mixed a little bit. Temperament is your reaction. But it's also, temperament is the degree to which you feel emotions. When parents are more aware of the temperament type of their child, it usually lessens the burden quite a bit. Sometimes just being aware of something makes it much less intense. We develop the amygdala, this part of our brain that's central for emotions, early in life, but we don't develop this. We don't have the ability to inhibit it and to inhibit ourselves. There are primary emotions. Those are the instinctive emotions. That's anger, sadness. Kids, we now know, they develop sadness by 3 months. But by your toddler years, you are getting your secondary emotions. Your secondary emotions are your ways to process your primary emotions. Your primary emotions, joy, anger, sadness. Your secondary emotions, guilt, embarrassment, pride, shame. Shame is the hardest emotion, we say. At 6 years of age, kids begin to understand their secondary emotions. They get into a tough spot. Because, for instance, at a 6-year-old, we classically say in that 6-7-year-old age, guilt, they tend to think that whatever goes wrong, it's their fault. They feel guilty. By 9, they have a much greater sense, because they've developed rules that, oh, no, I didn't have anything to do with that. I shouldn't feel guilty for it. And stress can actually do a really wonderful thing for us. We only get our optimal performance, our optimal change, our optimal learning, our optimal growth after trauma, which is another talk that I'm going to be giving, when we have the right amount of stress. This is why we want to give our kids really good emotional regulation. Because if our kids are too stressed out, they don't get the chance to aspire to something much greater. If our kids don't have any energy, they're down here. They don't do much of anything. We all need to find that optimal level of stress. Kids with a lot of self-control do much better in school. Kids with a lot of self-control do much better with their physical health. And kids with a lot of self-control, and this is the most important part, they have much better relationships. They do much better with friendships. Relationships are the most highly correlated things with well-being that we know of. Nothing else tops it. Relief is a wonderful emotion. And in fact, kids who get a lot of warmth and who have a stronger bond with their parent, very high self-control they find later on. We need this early warmth to give our kids emotional regulation. When your kids are angry, when they're depressed, I want you to think about the times you've tried to just make them happy as opposed to focusing on getting them to calm down. That whenever your kids are angry or sad, your first thought should be to help them help themselves calm down. I am so glad you told me the truth. I said, how does that make you feel? How do you feel now that you've told me the truth? And she said, I feel better. And I said, right. That's why you tell the truth. You tell the truth because it makes you feel good. This is a big point I want you to understand about how to use emotions to reinforce things, to give positive emotions. You do not tell the truth because it's right or wrong. That is not enough. That doesn't teach it well enough to kids. You tell the truth because being honest makes you feel really good. When your kid starts lying, which every kid should not tell the truth at some point in their life, they're really just kind of figuring out what they're capable of doing. It doesn't mean they're antisocial. Emotions have an intellectual component and they have a physiologic component. We feel emotions in our body actually before we think them. We've all heard of the fight or flight system. Fight is anger, flight is anxiety, and it's the same physiologic response. The same things happen when you're angry or anxious. It's why some people tend to confuse them. Some people get anxious and then they quickly get angry because they can't recognize them very well. Luckily, we have another system. We have a parasympathetic system. And this is the system that calms us down. We have two nervous systems, one to set off our fight or flight system, and the other one to calm us down. Take a deep breath in, and pull your stomach in, and feel underneath your ribs. Everyone, you've just met your diaphragm. This nerve is the vagus nerve. It is the system that calms your body down. It's this one giant nerve. It's called the wanderer because it goes to every organ in your body, particularly your gut. Who feels a lot of emotion in your gut? You're like, why? It's this vagus nerve. What you're doing physiologically when you are belly breathing is you're stimulating the nerve to calm your body down. It's not just about the breath. That's probably another big component of it, but it's the idea that you're able to tell the nerve that you want to calm yourself down. Because luckily, we're adults and we can use distraction and work covertly. And so with my kids, if I want to get them to breathe, I talk about the breath all the time, and sometimes they'll take some breaths. But if I really want to do something, I shake this up, put it down, and we're going to breathe. We're going to breathe through our nose until we see the last snowflake fall. When the last snowflake falls, we're going to stop, then we're going to do it one more time. So it's about figuring out ways to get our kids interested in breath. Kids, by the way, love snow globes. Another one that I really like is PMR, progressive muscle relaxation. This was developed by a guy, Edmund Wilson, in the 1920s, who was also taking advantage of what he knew about the fight or flight system. When you become angry or anxious, your muscles tense. They're preparing to fly or to fight. And he found that if he just helped people deal with the muscle tension, their mental symptoms went away, their anxiety, their anger. So another thing that really works with kids is a good squeeze of the fist. It feels better feeling calm. How good are you at tolerating your kids when they become emotionally dysregulated? Because that's going to be a big part for them. That's it. Thank you very much.